Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to the channel, and my name is GameStach. The mechanics of the Holy Roman Empire, or the HRE, can be a bit tricky for new players of EU4. So in today's video, I will go over the mechanics of the HRE, and I will give you some tips on how to play as the biggest nation in the HRE, Austria. If at any point you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I will first start explaining the mechanics if you're not a member of the HRE. Then I will tell you something about princes, electors, and the emperor of the HRE. And finally, I will give you some nice opening moves to use as Austria. So what if you're not a member of the HRE? So here you can see me playing as France. And if you want to see which nations are a member of the HRE, you can use the Imperial map mode. Now in this map mode you can see a whole bunch of colors. I will quickly go over what these mean. So if a country is green, that means it is part of the HRE, or that province is part of the HRE. If it is this brownish color, then that nation is an elector, and the red nation is the emperor. You also see these dashed provinces, and that means that the province is part of the HRE, but the owner of the province is not. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So if you click on a specific nation and go to their screen, whether they are a member of the HRE is indicated by this icon. Now, if we take a look at the Imperial map mode, we see that this province is part of the HRE, but the owner is Venice, and Venice is not a member of the HRE. So what is the big advantage of being a part of the HRE? Well, now I'm playing as France, and let's take a look. So for example, Savoy is a part of the HRE, and I am not a member of the HRE. So the big advantage of being a member of the HRE is that if you're being attacked from someone out of the HRE, like France, the emperor will come and protect you. So let's take a look at that. So if I now declare war, it says that Austria will protect them because Savoy is a part of the empire. Well, in this specific case, Austria apparently will not help Savoy because of several reasons. But in general, Austria will, or the emperor will, help the person that is being attacked. So now let's take a look at princes, electors, and the emperor. So if we click over here and go to the Holy Roman Empire screen, below we can see that there currently are 58 princes. The number of princes is essentially the number of independent nations that are a member of the HRE. So what does that mean? Well, for example, if we take a look over here at Frankfurt, so let's say Mainz were to take over Frankfurt, then Frankfurt, the province, would still be a part of the HRE, but the prince of Frankfurt will no longer be there because Frankfurt is annexed. So now you might think, does it matter whether there are a lot of princes? Well, if you are the emperor, then yes, it matters, because the number of imperial authority you get depends on the number of princes there are. So in general, if you're the emperor, then it's good to have a lot of princes, and it is important that a lot of nations stay independent. We also have a bunch of electors. So what do electors do? Well, electors are shown over here, and electors can vote for the person they want to be the next emperor. So for example, here we can see Brandenburg will vote for Austria, Bohemia will vote for Ferrara, Mainz will vote for Hesse, etc. And the person who gets the most votes will be the new emperor. So when is a new emperor elected? That happens when the current emperor, that is the ruler of the nation that is the emperor, so in this case that will be the king of Austria, if he dies. So when the king of Austria dies, these electors will have set their votes, and the person with the most votes will become the new emperor. So is it useful to be emperor? Well, let's take a look. Here we can see all the bonuses of being the emperor. So it says, being emperor gives the following bonuses: spy network construction plus 10%, yearly prestige plus 1, possible advisors plus 1, leaders without upkeep plus 1, diplomatic relations plus 1. And also, because we now have 50 princes and 8 free cities, the empire will give also this to the emperor, plus 16 tax ducats, plus 33,000 manpower, and plus 29 force limit. So now let's take a look at what it's like to play as the emperor. So now let's quickly switch over to playing as Austria. So what is the use of being the emperor of the HRE? Well, I just mentioned there are a lot of bonuses like extra manpower and extra force limit, but you can also pass certain imperial reforms. So let's go back to the imperial screen, and here we can see all the imperial reforms. And you would say, well, okay, there are some bonuses here, but what's the use of this? Well, if you go down to the second to last, then this says, all members of the HRE will become our direct vassal. That is of course a very nice bonus, because in this way you will get all these members to be your vassals and you will be basically indestructible. And the last imperial reform is combining all the nations you have as a vassal into one big giant nation. So passing this second to last reform is very important. So how do you pass reforms? Well, you can pass reforms when you have 50 imperial authority. Imperial authority can be found over here. And it says right here how you can gain it by having a large amount of member states. So that those are those princes I mentioned before. If all members are at peace, you get more imperial authority. If provinces join the empire, so you can actually add provinces to the empire, and successive emperors for the same country. So if you get elected every single time, you will get a bonus, you will get some extra imperial authority when your king is elected again. So passing the first reform basically comes down to waiting and getting 50 imperial authority. Because the more imperial authority you get, the more princes will support this reform. So most of the time you will approximately have 54, 55 imperial authority, and you can click here and this reform is instantly taken. Okay, so the next thing is, how do you make sure you get elected as the emperor every single time? So you can do that several ways. The most straightforward way would be to ally the electors. So good thing to do here is, so let's take a look at who the electors are. Let's go to this map mode. The best thing you can do is to ally Saxony and Brandenburg. Just ally them, send them a royal marriage request, improve relations with them, and they will most likely vote for you. A second way you can make sure people vote for you is, the more imperial authority you have, the higher, the more likely they are to vote for you. So this is a tip. If you're just about to pass an imperial reform, check the age of your king, because if he's very old and he just dies when you just pass the reform, there's a chance that some nations might not vote for you, and then you will lose the chance of being the emperor. That concludes all the easy stuff about being the emperor. Now the harder stuff. There's one very difficult objective that you can try to complete to make it even easier for you to pass all the reforms, and that is to reign in Italy. So as you can see right now, all these provinces here in Italy are part of the 𝐃𝐈𝐒. And if you just start out the game, you will get, in just a couple of days, you will get a notification that says that you have to have all of these provinces in Italy to be part of the 𝐃𝐈𝐒, or these nations will leave the 𝐃𝐈𝐒, which is of course bad, because the more princes you have, the more imperial authority you get. So let's in a minute take a look at that. The second thing you have to watch out for is the following. There's a so-called event called the Burgundian inheritance. That is an event that sometimes happens before 1500. And it basically comes down to the king of the Duke of Burgundy dying, and some nations will then inherit that land. So what always happens is, France will get some of the provinces that belongs to Burgundy or the subjects of Burgundy. So let's take a look at who those countries are. So everything that lights up right now is either Burgundy or a subject of Burgundy. So Nevers is a subject of Burgundy, Flanders, Brabant, Holland. All of these are subjects of Burgundy. So when the Duke dies, France will get some of these provinces. What happens to the other provinces, that depends on some aspects. So if you are allied to Burgundy, then the emperor will get some of the provinces of Burgundy. And those are the provinces that are part of the 𝐃𝐈𝐒. So that are those provinces right here. And including up to Holland, you will be the direct owner of those provinces, which is of course very nice. So it would be nice. So it could be a tip to ally Burgundy and hope that if the Burgundian inheritance happens, that you will get those provinces. Because the second thing that could happen is that if Castilla is allied to Burgundy, that Castilla would get all these Dutch provinces, and that of course is something you do not want to happen, because they are actually a part of the 𝐃𝐈𝐒. Okay, so now let's take a look at all the opening moves you can do. So there is a very nice thing you can do here when you're just starting out in this game, because if you take a look at Bohemia, you can see that they currently have an interregnum, which means there is no ruler there. It takes some time before the new ruler gets chosen. The same thing goes for Hungary. So what that means is, if you were to royal marry them, then there is a quite big chance that your dynasty will be on the throne of that nation. So before these new missions, you would actually have to royal marry both of these nations, and then conquer them separately in a claimed throne war. But luckily they now added a mission, that means you don't have to do this for Hungary anymore, but you still have to do this for Bohemia. So this is the mission. It says if we have more development than Hungary, then what happens? We gain a restoration of union with Casus Belli. So then we can get Hungary for ourselves. So the best thing to do when you just start out is the following. Make sure you get an alliance with Poland. So now we have an alliance with Poland. So having an alliance with Poland will make this next thing very easy. So we first got to do is send a royal marriage request to Bohemia. So then there's a very big chance that Habsburg will be on the throne of this of Bohemia, and then we can claim their throne and get their country in one war, which is very nice because, as it also turns out, Bohemia is one of the electors. Okay, so next let's also make sure some other nations like us that are electors. So let's get an alliance with Saxony. Okay, so for Saxony alliance. And in the meantime, let's keep checking whether or not we have someone from our dynasty on that throne, which is currently not the case yet. And let's also set Venice as our rival, because if we want to do the Reign in Italy mission, then we have to make sure that we conquer some provinces from Venice. So here's the event. It says, unless all of the region of the Kingdom of Italy is part of the empire before 1490 and stays inside it until 1550, the states are likely to leave the empire. So it doesn't actually mean they are likely, they will actually leave. So you have to make sure you do this. So here's the mission. You only get it after this event. So here we can see what we have to do. So the Emilia-Romagna area is a part of the empire or a vassal of the emperor. Central Italy area, except Abruzzi, is in the empire or a vassal of the emperor. The mainland of Venetia area is in the empire or a vassal of the empire. Rome is in the empire or a vassal of Rome. So you can also see these provinces light up on the map. So you can actually see that Abruzzi here lights up, which is something you actually don't need. So it basically comes down to doing the following. You have to conquer these provinces. Make sure that Brescia is returned to Milan, because Milan actually has a core there. And we need to conquer all of these provinces. This seems easy, but it is quite difficult, because you will have a lot of aggressive expansion. Especially when you just conquered Bohemia. So it might be a bit difficult if you just conquered Bohemia, so you will just have to try out what works for you. You can always just ignore this, because I've played this before myself and I wasn't able to get this to be part of the empire, and still I was able to pass all the reforms. So it is not necessary. It is nice if it happens, but it's not entirely necessary. And let's get a second person to back me. Let's try to ally Brandenburg. And since we know we're going to fight Bohemia, let's move our troops over there. And okay, so we can have one more slot. We can fill one more slot. Let's take a look at. Okay, so our heir is not there, so you really have to keep checking this, and we can get one more ally. So maybe we should ally. Maybe we should just ally Burgundy and see if that works out for alliance. There we go. Always nice to have some extra help from Burgundy, because they have all those subjects which are part of the HRE, and Burgundy can be really tough. And now it's a matter of waiting. So I'll see you when this happens. So in the meantime, I can tell you about some of the problems that can arise if you have too much aggressive expansion when you're playing as Austria. So what I've had that happened is I just conquered all of these provinces in Venice. I also had Bohemia as my junior partner, and just when this happened, of course, I got a lot of aggressive expansion. People from the empire didn't like me that much. So just when I conquered all those provinces, my king died. They elect a new emperor, so that is of course not me in that case. And then the Burgundian inheritance happens. So the person who is then the emperor got all of these provinces. Well, of course, you can imagine I was very pissed. So don't get too pissed when you're playing as this, because a lot of things can happen and a lot of things can go wrong. Okay, so even without doing anything, we have a Habsburg on the Hungarian throne. So yeah, that's nice. Ah, there we go. Karl von Habsburg has risen to the throne. Okay, so now we can do the following. Only now you can do the following. Now we can claim throne. We will lose prestige, but we will get a casus belli on them. They are only allied to Lüneburg and Memmingen, which is nice. So let's go ahead and claim the throne. And now we can, in 1 month, we can declare the war. And because we have Poland as an ally, this is going to be a very easy war. Okay, there we go. So claim, take. We have a royal marriage, so we will lose some stability. But hey, that's part of the fun, right? Okay, so we can call in Poland, Burgundy, and Brandenburg. So we can call in everyone, so we can just basically sit here and let them do the work. So let's do that for fun. There we go. Okay, guys, go! Kill him! You can see the utter panic in Bohemia. Okay, well, then we can actually do some sieging then. So you actually need a fair amount of war score to be able to enforce your demands. So the main thing we have to do is first get Lüneburg and Memmingen out of this war. And now they're going in for the kill. Kill them! Oh, and I'm going in for the double. Oh my God! Oh yes. So this is actually what I was talking about. So this is the Burgundian succession crisis, the Burgundian inheritance. Okay, so now we can. So you can see France already took some of the lands. So now I can say these lands belong to us. Let's just click this and wabam. So this is really the best case scenario. So okay, but first let's just win this war and then we'll see. So what also happens is if someone from the empire takes over someone else from the empire, is that you will get this notification, unlawful territory. So you can see that you can demand Magdeburg return the unlawful territory they hold. So let's take a look. Magdeburg. Emperor actions. Demand unlawful territory. Annulled. And they will not do this right now. But if you were to send this request, your imperial authority will drop, but you will also get a casus belli against Magdeburg, and then you can force them in that war to return that province to the empire. So in fact you will undo the fact that they conquered that province. So we can do that later. But for now we're just going to focus on this. And also that is also something I just forgot to mention. So I mentioned before that if you're not a part of the empire and attack someone that is part of the empire, that nation will be protected by the emperor. But if you are a member of the empire yourself, you can freely attack anyone inside of the empire. And then you will only have to take into account their allies. So that of course means that if I am Poland and I attack Brandenburg, then I will also have to fight the emperor. But if I am Brandenburg and I attack Saxony, for example, then I will only have to take into account Saxony's allies. Of course, it could be the case that Saxony is then allied with the emperor himself, which will also mean you will still have to fight the emperor. But they don't get called in automatically, which is the case if you are attacking from outside of the HRE. Okay, so we won the war. So now onto the important part of making sure we pick the right peace deal. So we don't have to pick concede defeat. We have to pick union with Bohemia, which will get 20. Will get us 24 aggressive expansion, which is actually less than I anticipated, which is nice. We'll get 50 prestige. And also ask for a lot of money. So hey, why not? And then click OK. And now Bohemia is our subject. So the next thing you will immediately see is that you will get a notification that they have a lot of liberty desire. So now we gotta start and make amends. We're gonna send a diplomat to improve relations. Okay, and the last thing I will show you is that you can now do the same thing you did with Bohemia, but to Hungary, because we just completed the mission, as you just saw. So that was this mission. That was, by the way, the case because we got all of these provinces, because we got a lot more development from through that. But normally you would have to conquer some of these provinces over here, and that way you will get more development, and then you can get the casus belli. So let's just pro forma do this. Let's see what the allies are: Ragusa, Saxony, Genoa, and Siena. But however, that would be nice, of course, to do this. But we have to first. It's of course not really smart to do this right now because we just beat Bohemia. Their manpower is down. We only got 20k. They got a bunch of allies, and my allies will now not help me because I just called them into a war. So best thing to do is just wait a while. In the meantime, we can get some provinces from here, from down in Venice, and then we can get Hungary, of course. What I did, which was not that smart, but which I should warn you, is if you finish this mission, you will get this casus belli, but only for a limited amount of time. This casus belli will go away. So you can check that over here. If you go to your own nation, you will see this. These are the casus belli you have. And It says the casus belli is valid until September 1471. So we have a bunch of years left, but keep this in mind, because if you were to lose this casus belli, you will get pissed. And also, if you were to declare a war right now, then because of their high liberty desire, they would not help you in the war. So that is also a bit of a problem. And also pay off their debt, of course, which is, you know what, I'm actually gonna do this. Because I just stole their money, and I'm gonna use their money to pay off their debts, so... So now I've explained all the most important things you need to do, so I'm sure you can do the rest yourself. I mean, it's just a matter of waiting and using the Restoration of Union casus belli against Hungary. One last thing I need to mention, which is the most important event that will happen that can really screw you over when you're playing in the Holy Roman Empire and you want to pass all the reforms. So if you're not interested in passing this reform and you just want to conquer everyone in the HRE as Austria, that is fine, then you don't need to listen to this part. But if you really want to use these reforms, then around 1500 the Protestant Reformation will happen. That will spawn the religion of Protestantism somewhere in any Catholic country. I believe it's most of the times it is in Germany, because of course there are a lot of Catholic nations there. But it can also start in Denmark or in England or anywhere. But the point being here is that once that has spawned, the Protestantism will spread to all the neighboring provinces, and if nations turn Protestant, then your imperial authority increase will drop. So if you take a look over here, so then you can now see that we lose imperial authority because there are currently 5 provinces in the empire under control of non-member states. If you have princes that are heretics, so Protestant or Reformed, you will get an additional penalty, which will very quickly add up to making sure that this will no longer increase. What you will normally have to do is somewhere around that period, the leagues will start to exist, and then you will have to pick a side, and you will have to fight a war, which is of course very annoying and takes a lot of time, and by that time you will already have lost a lot of imperial authority. So what you actually can do, this is a bit of a cheaty way, is just see where it spawns, hope that it spawns in a one province nation, so for example in Salzburg, or in Augsburg, or in Memmingen or Ravensburg, etc. Then just declare a no casus belli war. So what is that? Let me show you. So a no casus belli war is when you click on a country, you click declare war, and here it says no casus belli. So you will get a lot of aggressive expansion. So you have to make sure that you don't have any aggressive expansion from previous wars, because you will get in trouble. And then declare war, then win the war and force their religion to change. Because if you force someone to change their religion, you will not actually force their entire nation to convert, but only the capital. But since that nation will only consist of one province, their entire nation will again convert. That center of reformation will then disappear, so it will no longer spread to the rest of the world. And you're in luck, because there is no Protestantism in your in the empire. Same thing goes for reforms. You can also that will also works the same way. But of course, then you have the problem: what if it spawns somewhere else? What if it spawns in your country? What if it spawns in a country that has more provinces than just one? Well, this is something some players will find will call safe scumming. Or I don't know if this is actually considered safe scumming, but what you do is you save the game just before it happens, because it usually just happens before 1500, or you'll have an autosave or something. If it doesn't spawn correctly, you just press Alt F4, you relaunch the game, and you can let it spawn again. But of course, if you're not really into that kind of thing, you can also not do that and just hope and just do it yourself and hope that it works out with the Protestant League and etc. But it really takes a lot of time. So if you want to conquer the world, then I would recommend you to do the thing I just told you. So that concludes my tutorial on the HRE and my opening moves as Austria. Do you have any more questions? Then leave them down in the comments below, and let me know how your game went. And before I end this video, I just want to I just have to show you this one favorite video of mine, which is something that always comes to my mind when I think of Austria. Let's just take a look. So as you probably know, Austria is pretty well known for its yodeling, and this video is about that. So let's just take a look. I'll translate it as we go. So this is a video of probably the most well-known yodeler in all of Austria, called Franz Lang. Well, let's just take a look.
Da gibt es natürlich auch viele Möglichkeiten. Heini, wer ist deines Erachtens wohl der beste Jodler der Welt?
Für mich?
Für mich? That is gotta be my favorite part.
Für uns alle?
Für uns alle?
Ist der Franz lang weit der Beste und ich glaube, solange wie der jodeln kann, bleibt er der Beste.
Ja, und den haben wir heute eingeladen.
Den haben wir heute eingeladen. This man's mind has just been blown. And also this next part. So there's this next part in the video, and so he walks through the audience, and then he walks through this crowd, and you can just imagine them telling the audience, "Okay, don't look at the camera when we pass by." So, and then this happens. First we have this guy just enjoying it a little bit too much. Oh, a camera! What the hell is this? Oh, and not just one. Okay, but anyway, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe to my channel for more content. Let me know what you thought, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya!